Welcome to this introduction to Ayurveda, and also we'll be going through an introduction to self-care through the lens of Ayurveda, which is really self-care basically through the elements. And as we move through this, especially this introduction to Ayurveda, I really want to stress that it is an introduction. There's going to be a lot of probably words that maybe you haven't heard before, some concepts that you haven't heard before. You might see or think about some things that you might be seeing or thinking of in a totally different way. And that's what all this is really about. It's not meant to be overwhelming in any way at all. If you actually aren't new to Ayurveda, if this is something that you've been studying for a little bit or something that you've even just dabbled in before, a whole lot of this will definitely be familiar to you. But it's also just always nice to hear things a few times and in a few different ways as well. So one of my favorite things actually about Ayurveda is that there are so many Ayurveda wellness coaches, health counselors, practitioners, doctors, and each and every person just puts these concepts in. They put their take on it and they say it in their voice and from their experiences. And I learn something new every single time that I read a different book or listen to a podcast or take a class with a new teacher or somebody. So, especially if you're not so new to Ayurveda, I invite you to just be open to some of these teachings and to just also sit back and enjoy too. And remember, you could always contact me if you have any questions about anything specific, or if there's something that you maybe wanted me to explain a different way in some way at all. So just keeping that in mind as we move through this. Okay, so what we'll be going through are all of these points. We'll talk about what Ayurveda is, what is Ayurveda, what is perfect health according to Ayurveda, the three main causes of dis-ease. And then we'll go into the doshas, which is something that you'll hear a lot of. You're going to hear a lot of the word dosha. You're going to hear about the doshas a lot. And then the gunas as well. So maybe if you even have been dabbling in Ayurveda a little bit, you've got some books on it, or you've been studying it for a while. If you have been studying it for a while, you probably do know how important the gunas are. But if you haven't, this will be something that's actually pretty transformative. It was something that really helped me. A lot of things just click in my head when I started really diving deeper into these teachings. So, what is Ayurveda? What is this beautiful science? These beautiful practices? It's a science that helps us understand the rhythms within us and the rhythms of this world. So everything around us works in a rhythm, right? If you look outside from sunrise to sunset, nature moves in a rhythm. Nature moves in a way where things wake up, things take care of themselves, animals, plants, beings, everything outside in the natural world. And they move through certain cycles and then they end up going to sleep and they repeat it all over again. And day to day that rhythm looks different. Season to season that rhythm looks different. Different places around the world the rhythm is different, right? The rhythm that's like what a fall day looks like in New York City is going to be totally different from what that same like October date looks like somewhere in Australia. So around the world, everything's different. And Ayurveda is going to ask us to actually tune into that, to notice where we're living, how we feel where we're living, and then just what's going on in nature, in the natural world around us. And Ayurveda is called the sister science of yoga because yoga and Ayurveda are actually meant to be practiced together. Yoga, traditionally, the traditional practices of yoga, which is like if you study the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, or if you take some yoga classes, yeah, you're probably in a yoga class and a physical yoga asana class, you're getting into your body, you're moving, you're feeling all of that stuff. And the more modernized version of yoga is a little bit more of a physical practice. Traditionally, and I just brought up the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali because traditionally, the yoga practice was meant to help us really reach a more spiritual place. Um, In the Yoga Sutras, there's a lot of talk about controlling the mind and really being in tune with touching the soul and achieving consciousness that is way, way, way higher than what we just go through on a day-to-day basis. So we can't do that. We can't actually just sit down and even just meditate. We even really can't go take a physical yoga practice if we feel kind of icky that day. Like if I'm already kind of fired up about something and then I eat a big like spicy burrito with lots of hot sauce on it. And then I go and try to meditate for however long. Maybe my stomach's gonna hurt. I might get some heartburn. I might be a little bit fidgety because of what it is that I was eating and just what it had done, what it's doing to my overall nervous system, right? So uh, I'm not gonna really enjoy the yoga practice. The yoga practice or the meditation practice isn't gonna do what it's meant to do because my body, my physical body is getting in the way of that. Ayurveda is going to teach us and show us how to recognize what we need and how to work with nature. And by nature, I mean with what food we take in, with what situations we choose to put ourselves in, anything that we take in through our senses. Is that actually bringing me to balance or is that bringing me out of balance? When I'm working with the things that bring me to balance, my yoga practice is going to be that much more successful. The yoga practice is just going to be that much better. So, yoga and Ayurveda are meant to be practiced together. Ayurveda helps us understand this body and how it works in this world. So I mentioned before that I have a body, you've got a body, we all have a body, right? That's something we all have in common. We can all agree, I think, that we're human beings here on planet Earth. And each and every person has to deal with a brain, a body, different types of organs, different, a whole nervous system. Ayurveda is going to ask us to look at that, to actually notice how it is that you're feeling when you are put in a certain situation. And then after that, how you feel. This is an obvious one, but how you feel after you eat certain food, after you listen to certain music, see certain movies, hang out with certain people, and how the body responds to that. And Ayurveda is going to also help us understand matter. Everything's made of matter. I'm made of matter. I'm touching my computer screen right now, right? This computer screen is made of matter. There's certain qualities to it that are that it's made up of. You know, it's a little bit smooth, it's hard, it's this, it's that, things like that. Matter has certain qualities to it. Everything's made up of matter. Um, I'm made up of matter, and what's going on inside of me is a little bit different than what's probably going on inside of you. So if we both eat a similar meal, you might feel amazing after it. I might feel really sick. And Ayurveda teaches us that the qualities that are going on within me that I'm made up of, when they interact with a certain food or a certain drink and those qualities, it'll either bring me to balance or out of balance. And that's really, it sounds very, very simple, but really we're just wandering around in this world like super duper tired, super stressed out, we're drained, we're sad, we're anxious. And instead of actually taking a seat back and thinking, okay, what's going on that's causing this? We try to just treat the situation all the time. We try to treat the symptoms. We don't always treat the cause. Ayurveda asks us to take a step back and actually look at what's causing whatever it is that's going on. Okay, so what is perfect health? Perfect health is being aware of and in tune with our life purpose. When we understand why we're here, we're healthier in our heads, in our hearts, and in our spirit. When we wake up in the morning and we're in tune with why it is that we're waking up and going through our day, we're a little happier, right? If you've ever had to wake up for something you hated doing, maybe it was a job or you maybe you had to do a situation, something like that. Um, Waking up and going into something feeling like it's just not for you, like it's not your purpose, that starts to cause different issues to our health. those moments where before you're about to do something, you're just miserable and you're like grieving over it. You feel it in your body. There's certain places where you'll feel that in your body. And Ayurveda is going to ask us to look at that. So, perfect health is also being balanced in the mind, the body, the soul, and the heart. I might maybe go get like a physical from my doctor, get blood work and all that kind of stuff done. And everything on paper might check out beautifully. It might look like I'm doing really good right now. But if I just had my heart absolutely broken, or if I am just constantly thinking that I'm not good enough, or if I really am feeling like I'm not living my life purpose, over time, those thoughts, those feelings, and that situation, those pretty sad situations will take a toll on my body. So Ayurveda will ask us to look at that if my body is okay, if it's in good health, what's the condition of my heart? How's my heart doing? How's my mind doing? Am I making good decisions? Am I feeling fulfilled? Am I moving and operating in this world in a way where I feel like I've got a purpose in it? And if I can check yes to all of those, I'm moving close to, or I'm pretty much seated in perfect health. If one of those is off, it's going to throw the whole balance off. Even on the other end of that as well, where if I am the happiest person in the world, but like those same blood work tests that I went to the doctor for checked out bad. Obviously there's going to be things that go on in my body now that are going to hurt my heart or hurt my head. So it all works together. It all is going to work together in one big like healthy beautiful machine. That's what this whole body is meant to do. And then moving through the world from a place of love is perfect health as well. Doing all things with love, anything, really anything. So if I wanted to get an extra hour of sleep or something, and then like my friend or my partner or a family member wakes me up out of my sleep on a Sunday morning saying, my car doesn't start, I need a ride to work. And like I can either lovingly, because I love this person, hurry up and get out of bed and be really pleased to help them. Or in that moment, I can get really angry about it. And, when we get angry with the people we love over something like that, or I don't know about you, but usually, all the time, not usually, every single time that I get angry over something like that, I feel really bad immediately. So if we can just stop the emotions from going there and actually just say, I'm going to choose to do all things with love, everything gets a little bit sweeter. That same scenario where I'm like driving the loved one to work now because their car didn't start on the Sunday morning when I wanted to get extra sleep. The car ride will be sweet if I enter that situation with love. So always doing all things with love, moving through the world from a place of love. The three causes of dis-ease. So the first one is, it's my favorite one because I'm quite guilty of doing this more often than I really want to admit. I know what is best, but I choose something different. I know that eating that second slice of pizza, in my case, sometimes it's like the third or the fourth slice of pizza. I eat it anyway because it's so good and I haven't had pizza in a month. I deserve it. It's fun right now. This is delicious. Uh, Same goes with certain situations, right? Like, I know I should go to bed at this time, but I have a great friend over and we're just having such a good time. I'm going to stay up till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Uh, I just ate those three slices of pizza and now I kind of want ice cream, but I know I'm not going to feel good after, but I do it anyway. We do that. We all somewhere in it's like innate inside of us, right? That we know what's good for us. We know what's best. We know that we shouldn't eat X, Y, or Z. We know we shouldn't drink this or that. We know we should get up at this time and go to bed at this time and go and move our bodies and do all of these things. We know what's best and we know what's not best, but we choose something different sometimes. And it's an interesting one because sometimes things, will give us joy in the moment, but over time, they're actually not really serving us, and we know that deep inside of us. Second cause of disease is misuse of my senses. So, in other words, I watched 6 hours of Netflix and I don't know where the day went. I totally misused my senses there. I could have gone out for a walk. I could have gone for a hike. I could have done some yoga. I could have read some really good books. Could have had a beautiful conversation with a friend. I could have immersed my senses in something that will elevate me higher, not drag me down into this place of like muddiness and just sadness sometimes. The third one is living life out of rhythm. This is really an especially difficult one for just all of us as human beings here on planet Earth, living in the time that we live in right now. I say that because we're meant to be in the circadian rhythm where and tap into our own rhythm where we wake up with the sunrise, go to sleep with the sun when the sun sets. We're meant to do it. If you look at everything outside in nature, it's how it works. And we have an ability to, if we have a job or something like that where we work nights, we can come home and put some blackout curtains on our windows and just not let the light in and then go to bed during the day. If we want to stay up all night, if we get like that second wind, which I'll talk about later, um, we have the ability to turn all the lights on and actually stay awake. We have the ability to have certain stimulants that'll just keep us going. We have the ability to take certain things that will make us sleepy. So as far as I know, we're the only beings here on planet Earth that have the ability to pull ourselves out of our rhythm. And this is something Ayurveda it's one of the three main causes of disease. If we actually take a look at that and sit with it for a moment, it's so simple to live life in rhythm, but we're always struggling to not do it. It's so interesting. It's really, really, really interesting. Uh, so just something to think about. And I have not perfected all of these things. I've sit with them pretty often, but I'm not perfect in any of these at all. But I'm aware, and the more aware we are of these, the more in sync we'll start to get with these teachings. Okay, the doshas. And this is really exciting because the doshas are the words and the concepts that you will hear throughout your study of Ayurveda, maybe throughout the rest of your life now that you're studying Ayurveda. We have three main doshas within all of us. And the way these doshas work within us, it determines our basic nature, our physical constitution, right? The way that we look, how we carry out our purpose in life. This will be the way that these doshas here, kapha, pitta, vata, the amount that we have within us and just the way that they influence us can influence the way that we learn, the way that we enter into relationships, the way that we handle problems, the way that we actually feel in the morning, our ability to go to bed at a certain time at night. The doshas are all responsible for that. So uh kapha is made up of the elements of earth and water. Pitta is made up of the elements of fire and water. Vata is made up of the elements of air and ether. And also, before I actually dive into each dosha, I like to always tell my clients, students, this how I feel about the doshas. So this isn't like as I'm moving through this. I mean, you may already know what your doshas are, what your makeup already is, or as I'm moving through this, you might think, oh, I'm really kapha, or I'm a pitta, I'm a vata. This doesn't work like a zodiac sign. It's not like you're gonna come out of this and think, okay, I'm a Taurus, so therefore I'm stubborn, I'm this, I'm that, and it's like this finite thing. Even astrology is not like a finite thing either, right? But the doshas, we have all of them in us. We're all made up of kapha, pitta, vata. The different qualities that I move you through, that I talk you through when I start to talk about kapha, even if you're like predominantly vata, you're going to have some of these qualities in you. So we are made up of all three of these. All of us have these, some just more than others. All right, kapha dosha. Kapha dosha is made up of the elements of water and earth. The qualities are oily, cool, heavy, slow, dull, smooth, soft, stable. The season is spring. So think about what happens when water and earth combine together, when they blend together. Things can be damp, cool. There's a heaviness to it. I think very much like mud, muddiness. The main site of kapha dosha where this is going to show up in your body are the stomach and the lungs. Um, the season too, the season is fall. It's usually like late fall into early winter. And actually no, I'm sorry. The kapha dosha, kapha is winter. It's winter into spring. Winter into spring. You might still see some qualities of kapha like as when 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 it's really rainy and heavy out, but it's definitely kapha season during the spring when like the snow is melting and then you step in mud a lot. Things can feel really heavy. People might get really sick. Allergies might start to surface. You might even think about like that cough that you hear some people get where there's like that dampness in the chest. It's really because kapha dosha is the main site is the lungs. And the function is structure and cohesion. Time of life is early years through age 30. So this doesn't mean that like you're 29 and then on the day of your 30th birthday you're out of your kapha phase of life. It goes, a little bit. It's give or take a couple of years. You could even see like in teenage years. In teenage years, you'll see kids start to move out of that kapha state of life. But think about a baby. When a baby is born, and even through the early years of a child's life, they've got these qualities of being really smooth and soft, right? They're stable, they're pretty slow, and they've got that like vitality to them. They've got that really that like healthy thickness to them. That's a sign that's kapha showing up. Time of day is 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. So, this is an important one that I like to bring up, especially with clients that I have sometimes who have trouble getting out of bed in the morning. They're just like, I am tired, I get up, and I'm just like sluggish throughout the entire morning. It's because the kapha time of day, which is this heavy, slow, dull, smooth, stable time, uh, they're they're waking up during that. So if you're waking up at like 7, 8, 9 a.m. and you're kind of dragging yourself around, a little trick there is to actually get up at 6 a.m. or around 6 a.m. If you're really into getting up before 6 a.m., that's even better. Your alarm clock might go off. You might like open your eyes and think, oh God, what am I doing awake at this time? Ugh. But the second that you get up, for most people, the second that you get up and you start moving around, you'll actually find that you're pretty energetic. And that's because you're getting up before it's like that heavy kapha time of day. When we move into the 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., this is an ideal time. This is the ideal time to start to unwind and get ready for bed, get ready for sleep. So it's a perfect time to actually stop eating. Ideally, we're not eating after 6 p.m., if, give or take an hour, because the qualities, again, the time of day is going to really be made up of like these heavy, slow, cool qualities where it's hard to digest things. It's hard to actually get things moving. That like inner fire of digestion isn't really there around this time. So important to notice that. Maybe even start to notice that in your day. A kapha person, a person who is predominantly kapha is going to have like really broad frame, strong bones. They're going to be muscular, curvy. They've got that physical, mental strength. Stereotypically, I sometimes think about like football players, right? They're like solid, and they've got that physical, mental strength. They're muscular, they're strong. Hockey players, they've got like that really good build. Um, Another just if about celebrities too, if you think about like the Kardashian family, they definitely have a lot of these physical features, right? They've got like that long hair, that really glowing skin. Um, Even someone like Oprah Winfrey as well, that really just like strong presence. That's a really that's a totally these are people that are really predominantly kapha. Easy to gain weight, difficult to lose weight. So uh, it might be very, very difficult for them to actually lose weight just because The qualities of kapha, remember, are that like they're stable. It's a little slower. So it might be these are the people where it might be a little difficult to actually get motivated to do more strenuous exercise. They might want to go to like a restorative yoga class or really chill yoga class when really like that quicker, fast paced class would be better for them. Sometimes there's slow digestion. So someone that has a lot of kapha would really want to pay attention to that kapha time of day. Uh, I probably don't want to eat late at night. Like if you're mostly kapha and you're eating at like 9, 10 p.m., you're probably gonna feel that. It's probably gonna feel like your food just like sitting in your stomach. They've got a strong constitution. So people that are mostly kapha, they can go, 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 go. They're steady. They're in it. If they do get sick, they might get knocked down for like a couple of days, a day, maybe two. And they're good. They're good to go. They're good to go after a few more days. Or like they get sick, but they have everything in order anyway. They'll walk slow. They're not the people that are really, like floating around like they're walking on air. They walk slow, but like with the purpose. They have a booming voice and they talk leisurely. If you've ever had like or listened to had or listened to a certain type of meditation teacher that can really just sort of, put you in like this trancy zone, that's a really kapha voice. It's a kapha person. Or any friend, you might have a friend or something that like just has that really soothing, sweet voice that might be just a sign of kapha. Mentally and emotionally, a kapha is going to work really well with others. These are the people that like group projects. They enjoy being a part of a group. They work well with people. They're gonna like routine and structure, and they could do the same thing all the time and love it. So they could eat the same thing every day and not get sick of it. They can do the same thing every day and not get sick of it. They're really good with keeping up with routines. They're steady, dependable, and loyal. These are the best friends. If you've got a kapha friend, they're going to be like your friend forever. They're not going to do you wrong. They're going to stand by your side. Uh, One of my teachers said once that if you have a partner who's a kapha, they're going to be really loyal. They're not going to leave you, not because they only love you, but they don't want change. They're not going to want like the change of the relationship is just going to be something they don't want to deal with. They're not going to want to deal with getting out of the relationship, finding someone new, doing all that kind of stuff. That's just not for them. That's going to cause them a lot of stress. Kaphas learn by repeating. So um, I think I even said at the beginning of this class that some of you might need to, or some of you learn better by hearing things over and over again, and you could replay this recording over and over again. That's a really kapha quality. So maybe you're thinking like, oh yeah, I don't really have a kapha body type. This isn't really, some of this is relating to me, but not all of it. But maybe you learn the way that you learn is how kapha shows up in you. So you might have to hear things a bunch of times from different people. You might have to record lectures. Maybe in school you were like that person that recorded lectures or something like that. Listen to them over and over and over again. Learn by repeating. You have to do something over and over again to get it. So kapha imbalance, this will happen by eating really heavy, thick, oily, cold food all the time. Being in a cool, wet climate, the springtime can cause kapha to get imbalanced, and being too slow at not enough heat, spring allergies, and this will all actually really increase kapha. So too much thick, oily food is going to increase kapha in your system. If you're in a place where it's wet and cold, cool all the time, it's going to increase kapha. The springtime, I talked about this a little bit before, that's usually when spring allergies will start to manifest. It's because spring is like that heavy kind of time. It can be like that really moist sort of things are coming alive in the spring, but at the same time, there's that dampness to it. And if we're not balancing out the dampness, then we're actually going to increase the dampness. And that'll cause allergies, that'll cause sometimes a lack of appetite, that'll maybe feel like you've got a heavy feeling in your tummy. Kapha can be really stubborn too when they're out of balance. they'll be really, upset that things there aren't going their way. They're going to get annoyed that their routine's got to change. And then we can balance kapha by dry skin brushing, sauna, deep steam, massages, waking up before sunrise, challenging exercise, light, simple cooked foods. So nothing raw, no smoothies, nothing too heavy. Avoiding heavy food and meat as well will help balance out kapha. And dry skin brushing, if you're not sure what that is, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later when we get into self care. Okay, pitta dosha. The elements of pitta are fire and water. The qualities are penetrating, oily, sharp, hot, light, and spreading. A lot of this right away sounds like the season of summer, right? Things are fiery in the summer, things are sharp, things are hot, things are light. The main site of pitta dosha is the small intestine, which is like where the food, where your food, gets cooked. And pitta is what transforms food into the nutrients that move through the body. So we need pitta dosha inside of us to actually give us that internal fire to help us transform anything that we put into our body. The function is digestion and transformation. Time of life is about 30 to 60ish. Again, this isn't like set in stone where you turn 30 and then you're suddenly like you wake up the day of your birthday and you're like, oh, I'm in my pitta time of life. This can start to happen. You'll probably, as we move into the qualities of pitta, you'll you'll probably see some of this or remember some of these things from like when you were a teenager. I remember when I was a teenager, I had like bad acne. I was getting really sweaty all the time. I was a lot of really like imbalanced things were showing up that were a lot of I think it was really like a lot of pitta showing up in my body. And teenagers, you'll see them go through that, and then into the 20s too. Also, it's not just physical stuff, right? Mental. These qualities of penetrating, hotness, spreading, these are things that people, this fieriness, this is something that you'll see in like the late teens, early 20s, and like even into the 30s. People are invested in a career. Maybe they're making like a life for themselves. They're starting a job. They're getting their profession down. Maybe they're starting a family. They're doing the things, that fiery stuff that you've got to do to get your career to your life going. So you'll even see this with people in their 40s too, 40s, 50s. Maybe some people this happens earlier on. People will even be in this place too, well into their 60s. So it's just kind of like a light gauge here. Time of day is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., this is a time of the day where it's like that get things done time. You might feel a little more energized. You maybe might feel like you are getting your work done, you're getting through your to-do lists. This is the time to do it because of that fiery time. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. also pretty a little on the later end of that is the best time to also eat the biggest meal of your day. So the digestive fire is going to be the strongest around that time. And it's said that that's a really good time to eat your biggest meal because you're going to digest it better. So this 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. time, I brought up before that we live in this culture where a lot of us do around the world where we can control everything. Restaurants might be open till like, I don't know, 11 p.m. Bars, any social scene is gonna be open till like I grew up in New York. I think bars closed at like 3 or 4 a.m. or something like that. So uh a lot of us have had an experience where we've been up between this 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. time. This is sometimes where you might feel like you're getting a second wind. If you've been doing things all evening and you didn't start to unwind during that kapha time of day or kapha time of night, uh, you're probably gonna get a second wind here where you might feel like, oh wow, I want a midnight snack, or oh gosh, it's 11 p.m. now. let me do the laundry. Let me just do the dishes. Let me do that project I was working on. Let me just get up and, go call a friend and see if they're still, that's you might get that second wind. It's because our bodies between this 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. time in our body, we're all our systems that are processing and digesting and just moving things around. Um, Really even detoxing. They're coming alive from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So I like to kind of I like to say it this way. It's kind of like between 10 and 2 in the evening. It's almost like this little janitor comes in and is going through all of our organs, right? Like, okay, stomach, okay, liver, okay, this and that. They're like knocking on the door to clean things out. But if we're awake or if we're really tuned up and energetic during this 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. time, that janitor is just going to overlook us and look and see, all right, they've still got the lights on in there. I'm not going to clean this room yet. Our bodies work like that. So if we're not asleep or just kind of in the restful place between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., we may feel like in the morning, uh, our digestive system is just really not at its peak. That's not working too well. We might not be making a bowel movement in the morning, um, stuff like that. So we just might not be really eliminating and processing the way that we are meant to if we're just not asleep during that time, or at least unwound. So pitta people will be medium sized in their frame. They'll have warm skin, light, intense eyes, and an intense gaze. You'll know you're talking to a pitta if they're excited about something and their eyes just like stand out like a Disney, character. They get really into it. Also, you'll know when a pitta's mad at you and they look at you, it'll almost look like they're like looking at you with fire in their eyes. That is a pitta. That's a sign of a pitta. Strong digestion. So pitta people, these are usually the people that can like eat anything. They'll sometimes say, "Oh yeah, I can handle it. I've got like an iron stomach." Um, that's because of the fire, right? That element of there's a lot of fire in them, which also means that they're gonna get hangry, right? The angry, hungry. Uh, when you get to that place, if you've ever experienced that where you're so hungry, you're just angry, uh, you may be like that, or maybe you've got friends like that. If you go on like a road trip with a pitta person, make sure that you bring snacks. They're gonna need snacks, or they're gonna get mad at you when they start to get hungry. They walk with intention. These are the people where when they walk in a room, um, they've got like a presence about them. They might walk in and really just kind of take command of the room. They also talk to the point. This is unlike a kapha person that's going to have that drawn out, chill, smooth voice. A pitta person is going to be like, all right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. Famous people, somebody like Quentin Tarantino is very like very pitta, very to the point, has that really like intense gaze all the time. Even somebody like Nicole Kidman, actually, all of these physical traits of pitta we could see in somebody like her, right? The skin color, the eye color, things like that. Mental and emotional. So pitta is very organized and focused. You'll know you're in the home of a pitta person if you look at their bookshelf and they've got like all the books organized in some way. It might not be by like color or anything like that. It might be by author, it might be by genre, it might be by something. They're organized. Their clothing in their closet might be organized by like season or color or something. They've got organization about them. They're focused. They're in it. When they're in it, they're in it. They need goals. So these are the people that if they can't find the point of it, if they don't know what the reason is that they're doing something, they're going to get bored doing it. They're also incredibly passionate. They're in it. When they're in a project, they're going. They'll learn quick and they've got good memory. So this means that if you're working with a pitta and a kapha, you're a pitta person and you're trying to teach them something. Maybe you're training somebody at work. One's a pitta, one's a kapha. Your pitta person is going to pick it up right away. They've got it. They're good. That kapha person might need to hear it a couple more times, and then that pitta person might start to get antsy and fidget, move around. You've probably already been in a situation like this with two people, so that'll happen. They've got good memory too. They'll remember stuff. If you tell a pitta something, they're gonna remember it. When they're imbalanced, so pitta will get imbalanced by having just increasing that heating quality inside of them. If summertime is going to cause pitta imbalancing, spicy food will cause pitta to be imbalanced. Drinking alcohol and caffeine as well, right? Alcohol is like fire water. Caffeine is really stimulating. So pitta might get skin rashes, loose stools, diarrhea, anger and frustration. Will get really just flustered with things. They'll get angry about things. They'll get in a situation where they're just feeling like they get red in the face and just don't know how to handle anything. Right? It's that fire. They can also be manipulative and controlling. So a pitta that's out of balance will cause a little unnecessary drama because they need a little fire somewhere. Um, when they are in balance, when through these practices of Ayurveda and studying the stuff and learning, if you do have a lot of pitta in you, you can start to actually control this. You might already be that person where like you're in a situation and maybe things are going a little too good, or things are a little boring at work, and then you might like stir the pot a little bit and say, hey, did you hear what this person said about you? Or hey, did you see what so and so posted on Facebook? It's a very pitta thing to do, but once you start to get yourself in balance a bit more and notice when you want to do these things, you can cool it down a little bit. There's ways to actually balance that out before it gets to that manipulative control place. Pitta balancing, we balance pitta by eating nourishing and cooling foods. That does not mean you chug a ton of ice water. Um, Cooling foods in Ayurveda mean that there's a cooling quality to them. When we talk about food in Ayurveda, we talk a lot about spices and the things that we put in our body, right? There's an actual once we eat something, it has a certain effect on us, and that's a whole other class that I'll get into talking about another time. But I just wanted to bring that up, that like if you're having a day where you're just feeling like overheated and stressed out, chugging a ton of iced water all day is not what you want to do. That can actually start to really diminish that heat inside of you that you might need to transform food and stuff like that. Avoid caffeine and alcohol. Listen to some calming music. Rose water. When we get into our self care portion, rose water is incredibly cooling. There's a lot of different ways to use rose water. Cool down somehow. Like go maybe take a go swimming. Do some cooling pranayama, some cooling breath works. Do maybe take a yoga class that's a little more restorative, a little slower. Okay, vata dosha. Vata, this is the elements of air and ether. The qualities are dry, light, cold, subtle, and mobile. And now this is late fall into winter. So when you look outside, if you live in a place where you experience the seasons, fall into winter is around that time where you do see things drying up, right? The trees start to get snappy. Um, it's a little more windy too. You probably notice the wind a bit more in the fall because of the crispness to it, the lightness to it, that cool dryness to it. And this is also going to go into winter. As when you look outside in the winter, like in that crispy, like those crispy winter days when you step outside and like your face hurts, it's because of the dryness in the air, it's the lightness in the air. The main state is the colon. The function of Vata dosha is movement. Vata is the only dosha that moves. So sometimes if we look at something like somebody might be experiencing like cystic acne, that's sometimes like Vata pushing Kapha. So that can happen. There's other things that'll manifest in the body with as Vata actually pushing Pitta. So if and that's not so much something that maybe you can figure out on your own. Um, It's something where really you need to work one on one with somebody and actually get to the bottom of what's going on and where. And then you can actually sort out where the source of that's coming from and then prevent what's actually showing up. Time of life is 60 years and older. Again, you don't wake up on the day of your 60th birthday and think, oh, wow, I am now in Vata dosha. You might start to see Vata show up even earlier than 60. For women, especially menopause is a time where Vata dosha is going to start to show up. Um, and that time of life too, the Vata time of life is, it happens for some women like in their 50s, it happens for some women in their 70s. It's different for everybody's body. But this is the time too, around 60 years old, and maybe before that, maybe a little later than that, people might start to deal with a lot of dryness. You might start to notice your hair is a little more dry, your skin's getting a little bit more dry. Same with the bones. The bones might start to feel like there's a little like more air in them. Um, that's something that's just Vata. It's the Vata time of life. Even if you're mostly Kapha, you will start to experience these Vata qualities as you move into this time of life. Time of day is 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. So maybe you've woken up. If you've ever had like restless sleep, you might wake up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 4 a.m. And that's because there might have just been a lot of things. It could be for a lot of reasons, but it's also it's Vata showing up. It's that Vata time of night. There might be a lot of things going on that are very ungrounding throughout your day, and now it's causing you to wake up in the middle of the night like that. um if you find yourself and that you're still awake between this 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. time, I know a lot of artists, writers, and we all have these qualities in us. We all have that artistic quality in us. But a lot of writers, a lot of artists. I went to school for I have a master's degree in writing, and I remember when I was in grad school just not being able to actually sit and focus and write anything creative until this like 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. time. So not the healthiest way to produce things, not the healthiest lifestyle to be in, but I do remember feeling that it was like my creativity would just come alive at that time. And a lot of artists actually do have that similar experience where like something about that time of night, their mind just comes alive, and that's because Vata dosha is responsible for our creativity. It's where creativity really shows up inside of us. And then 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. So this is a time too where you might feel like I'm a little scattered. All right, like I just got all my work done, or I was just really, really focused for this point of this time of the day. Um, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. might be the time where you're starting to like lose interest a little bit in whatever it is you might be doing. Good time to get into your meditation practice. It's a really good time to kind of recenter and refocus as well. So the Vata person, this is the type of person that's got light bones, long muscles, straight frame, probably cool to the touch. When you touch them, they're always cold. They've got cold hands, cold feet. These are the people too. It's hard for them to gain weight. It's easy for them to lose weight. They walk slow. They don't have their digestion is like hit or miss. Sometimes it's really off. They might be really gassy sometimes. They probably burp sometimes. Um, they might have good digestion one day, and then some other days it's just like unpredictable. They like to eat, move, and talk fast. These are the people that like will start a project and then go on to something else. These people can be really difficult to work for because they have a million and one things going on. They've got good intentions, they're creative, they have so many beautiful, amazing ideas. They'll talk to you about this project they want to do with you or partner with you on. And then in 2 days, it's like they forgot about it. It's not because they forgot about you. It's not that they don't value your time. It is just how it's the vata in them. It's just what they're doing. Vata, they're also, these are like the dancers, the poets, the writers, the cooks. And again, remember, we all have vata dosha within us. So this is how vata will manifest too. They're really social, creative. They travel. They can't keep their feet on the ground. They'll learn and forget just as quickly. So let's say you're training a kapha pitta vata person, and you're the person who got to train them in whatever it is that you're training them in for work. Remember, that kapha person is going to need to hear something like twice, and then they got it. Your pitta person, you showed it to them once and they're good, and now they're like fidgeting with a stapler somewhere. uh Vata is gonna say, yeah, I got it, they got it too, because they learned really quick. But then the next day, these same three people will come into work. Your kapha person is gonna, go about it. They've got it. The pitta person is gonna be doing it. Your vata person is gonna need you to show it to them again. And again, it's not that they weren't paying attention to you. This is just, it's how they are. It's just how they are. And then this is why we also learn this stuff as well, because when we learn these things about the people that we work with, or even the people that we love, we learn that they're not like doing things to piss us off. They're not like forgetting that we had that date, at 6 p.m. or whatever. They're not forgetting it. They are forgetting it, but it's just because they've got that lightness to them. They've got that just um quality of movement where they're not too grounded. And once we know that too, though, we might maybe know that when we make a plan with our Vata friend and it's 2 weeks out, like they're going to forget the day before. Give them a call, text them and say, hey, are we still on for tomorrow? And that's a loving way to just really, work with, maybe you're a Pitta and you're like fiery and on it, but your best friend's a Vata and you're getting mad at them all the time because they're just so flaky. uh, you can show love instead of getting angry by, again, send them a reminder, say, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. And instead of getting mad at them and sitting around and waiting for them to mess it up. Lists and reminders are also good for Vata people. These are the people that need to do lists. Okay, when Vata will get imbalanced by like eating a lot of raw food, salads. We might think that like a salad is a really good thing to be eating, but for vatas, that's just going to cause, they might not digest it that well because they've got that lightness to them, and it's just might feel like it's sitting in their stomach. um Uncooked food, these are the people too that might actually be like, oh yeah, I'm on this like raw food diet, or like I'm doing a day a week of raw food. No. Don't, please don't do that. Or they like want those smoothies all the time. They want to start their day with a smoothie. Put the smoothie down, eat some oatmeal, have something warm and grounding. These people need grounding. The winter months too will, because winter is really vata season. Um, the winter months and even the start of fall, is really, at least wherever you are, if you're experiencing seasons, the start of fall is really going to feel like you'll feel those vata qualities coming in. But like winter, the heart of winter, before the kapha season kicks in towards late winter, the heart of winter is going to be really like dry, and it will feel very cold, very cool, very like crackly and things like that. So you want like, even these words I'm saying, it might make you think, well, I really want a warm tea or a warm soup. Those are the things that'll help you balance during vata season. Oof, talking too much. If you are a teacher, if you teach yoga, if you teach in a school, if you have a job where you're presenting things all the time, if you're constantly talking to clients, that will throw you right into a vata imbalance. You might end up hearing like ringing in your ears. You might walk out of the room feeling really frenetic and like tuned up. If you work in a service industry where you're like a waitress, bartender, you're constantly talking to people and engaging people, going, 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 going. A really good thing to do is to, and we'll talk about this when actually we get into self care a little bit more, but take a bath. When you get home, take a bath and submerge your ears in some water. Water is going to really help balance vata. Um, More vata balancing when we eat in a mindful way. Vatas are going to want to, they're the people that they're like on their computer with a million windows open, and then they're on a phone call. realizing that they are late for another phone call and they're eating like their lunch and just jamming food into their mouth and like sipping their iced water. So eat in a mindful way. Shut everything down. Shut off the TV. Put the book down. Put the phone down. Get your feet on the ground or sit down somewhere and eat and taste every bite. That will help balance vata. Avoid caffeine. Caffeine will make vata even more frenetic. If you're already feeling pretty frenetic. Or meals at least 85% of the time. So vatas are probably still going to want to like do the smoothies and the salads. 85% of the time, have warm cooked meals. Slow walks. You, if you are realizing, wow, I think I'm a vata here, or we've got friends that are like this, they probably like running. These are probably the runners, or like they like riding bikes or something like that. Go, 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 go. Walk a little slower, get your feet on the ground, feel the ground underneath you. Get out in nature, walk in nature. That is actually balancing for all the doshas. Oil massage. We'll talk about that when we get a little more into self care. But oil massage in Ayurveda is called abhyanga. It's a self massage that you can do, and it's really balancing for vata. Routine. We need a routine. When vata season, which is the fall into winter, it's helpful to at least get up at the same time every day, go to bed at the same time every day. Routine is key. Okay, moving into the gunas now. So, some of you, maybe you have a yoga background. You may have heard a yoga teacher say these words to you a handful of times. If you've ever done a yoga teacher training, you need to learn these about the gunas. Um, if it's the first time you're learning about the gunas, I'm happy I get to present them to you. But the gunas are these three qualities that pervade all creation. We're going to use the gunas to describe nature. So that includes us too, right? We're part of nature. Sattva is it's the principles of purity of being, it's equilibrium, it's clarity. We're always trying to achieve sattva. We're trying to do things that are sattvic. Um, Having a clean home, if you ever walk into someone's home and it just feels really like crisp and like welcoming, that's very sattvic. If you've ever walked into a yoga studio that's like a clean, like most yoga studios really, like if you just walk into the studio it feels like, okay, there's like an equilibrium here, there's some clarity here. That's a sattvic environment. Rajas, this is the principles of movement, so doing, activity, drive. uh it's that energy that actually we need to get up in the morning. It's that energy that we need to, it's that quality that we need within us to actually move things around. It's the drive that we have to get things done. Tamas is the principle of inertia, matter, physical manifestation, substance. So tamasic energy is what we actually need to rest, to go to sleep. Uh, in extremes, Rajas and Tamas are on like two different spectrums, and then Sattva is right in the middle. We're constantly going in and out of Rajas and Tamas and trying to come back to Sattva. Uh, a Rajastic place is like um, New York City or a big city where there's lots of people running around. There's things to do, places to be, things to see, millions of trains and like cars going, 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 going. That's very Rajastic. Tamasic is kind of like that place where maybe you're like stuck on the couch and can't get up, right? These are two extremes of tamas and rajas, and then sattva is right in the middle. And diving into these things a little bit more, the natural state of the mind is sattvic. It's colored by rajas and tamas because of what we take in through the senses. Rajastic and tamasic impressions are the cause of all dis-ease, and they're what make us rajastic and tamasic things are going to be what make us choose what we want now instead of what we want most. What we want most, and this is a whole other session, discovery session, or a lifetime like journey. But I would like to believe, I do believe that what we all want most is just this all loving, all blissful situation or place or realization. And we might end up in a very rajastic situation where we're like partying, going, 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 because that's what sounds cool in the moment. Or like tamasic, maybe we just want to like lie in bed all day and do nothing and just zone out. I'm just in that state of mind. Ugh. So that's really like the senses start to come in and make us forget what we want most. And what we want most is to connect with according to a lot of yogic teachings, we want to connect with the soul. We want to connect to this all loving nature that we've got inside of us. Signs of sattva, and you'll know you're in a sattvic place if you're experiencing clarity, joy, peace, healthy habits, good memory, truthfulness, and calm sleep. That's all good stuff. You'll increase sattva by natural scents of rose, jasmine, lavender, sandalwood, eating fresh food that's been cooked with love, fresh fruits, mindful eating, sitting down and eating in a way where you're able to taste the food and be grateful and thankful for where it came from and who prepared it for you. Vegetables are really, really sattvic as well, especially vegetables if you can get them that are made locally near you. Seeing the sky, sacred places, natural environments, clean spaces. So, a lot of temples, churches, places where people go to worship, these will all increase sattva. Being around good company, friends, people that you love, self care practices, which is what we're going to get into soon. And then listening to uplifting conversations and then even spiritual discussions. And then, so Rajas will color the mind. The natural state of the mind is sattvic. So we are always in that. We're meant to be in that sattvic place, but because we are human beings on planet Earth, things like Rajas and Tamas are going to start to color and distort the way that we see things. So we've got too much Rajas if we're aggressive. We're not sleeping. We're restless. We have anxiety. We're being really critical. Uh, and then this is increased. So Rajas is going to be increased by smells that stimulate the mind. Sometimes we do need to, have these smells of like the citrus, the cinnamon, the rosemary, things like that. We need these smells. But if we're already like way too tuned up, we won't maybe, put on that cinnamon, like that cinnamon scented candle. Caffeine, alcohol, spicy foods, multitasking. This is going to increase Rajas. Watching action movies, sports, fast movement, intense exercise, fast, quick-paced environments, impulsive behavior, competitive environments, listening to gossip, music with like deep beats, quick thoughts. These are all going to increase rajas. So, like, if you're not sleeping, or if you're just being like really self-critical, if you're in a place where you're just feeling really like, oh gosh, I just can't calm down, and then you go out with some friends that are really gossipy, and then you're having alcohol and really spicy food. You go see an action movie or like, I don't know, some sporting event, and then you're doing, like you're like, what do we do now? I don't know. Who cares? Impulsive behavior. You're going to increase that rajas, and you're not going to sleep. Sleeping is going to be difficult for you to do if you're keeping that up. All right, so tamasic qualities. We need these for sleep and rest. We do, like I said, we do need these qualities, tamas and rajas, but when we increase tamas, we're going to fall out of balance. Excess tamas is going to look like lack of self control, depression, dishonesty, worry, addictions, and being very dependent. This is increased by really not so good smelly things, things that smell like icky. Um, and that could be as simple as like you just haven't taken the trash out, and it doesn't even have to be that intense. If there's just maybe the trash is a little intense, but maybe like you've got a sponge that you need to change and you're just not changing it. If you're already feeling like down and out and just like unmotivated, that like slight scent of that stinky sponge is just going to increase tamas. Scents that activate trauma too. If you did have a traumatic experience and then you re-smell that scent or something like that, it's going to increase your tamas. Processed, packaged, canned food, anything that's microwaved, and any food that's been produced from cruelty. So this goes frozen food also as well. So I know that we live in a world where we are doing our best. We're all trying our best, right? Sometimes we do need to eat processed, packaged, canned food. Sometimes we need to microwave things. But if this is all that you're doing, if this is all that you're actually involved in, if this is what your diet is made up of, you're going to increase tamas. Um, and we see this all the time, right? Sex and violence in the media, no time to get into nature, not being able to access fresh air, sunlight, and moonlight. This is going to increase the tamasic nature in your life. And then a sedentary lifestyle, maybe not getting up, moving around, not enough movement, always being inside, depressing music. uh if you're just constantly listening to like that down and out music and just in that state 24/7, you're increasing Thomas. Change it up a little bit, put something upbeat on. Okay, so we're going into self-care through the lens of Ayurveda now that we've just gotten through this place of this little intro to Ayurveda. And the more that you actually come back to classes, the more that we move through these classes together, there'll definitely be more we'll return back to a lot of those concepts of the doshas and the gunas, and we'll get into that even more when we're meant to. But again, that was just really a brief kind of like outline of an intro to Ayurveda. When we talk about things like nutrition, we talk about how to process something like grief or pain or suffering. We'll dive even more into those concepts too. So it doesn't end there. Okay. When we talk about self-care in Ayurveda, um, I'm going to lead you through self-care through the elements. So the eyes are affiliated with the fire element. If you think about the eyes too, they're always hot. So we never want to put like anything hot on the eyes. Um, the eyes are like kind of like two like fireballs. The eyes are one of the other sites of Pitta dosha. Remember, Pitta is that fire and water element. I mentioned rose water before, and rose water in the eyes is a practice to cultivate in the morning or anytime that you feel like you need cooling throughout the day. If you're on a computer all day, it's nice to have a bottle of rose water near your computer. The way that you do this is you just like slightly pull down your lower lid, you look up, and then spray about 3 sprays directly into your eye. Another way to use rose water is to get like an eye cup, an eye rinse cup, and then put rose water directly into that and use that as well. Um, you can also take rose water and just spray it on your face. You could spray it in your hair. Anytime that you feel like you're being judgmental or you're like overheated or just feeling like your eyes are strained, rose water is incredibly, incredibly balancing. The thing with rose water though, you don't just want to go to like I don't know, a craft store or a supermarket and buy whatever rose water you see. It should be rose hydrosol. It should not contain essential oils or any alcohol. So essential oils and alcohol are going to burn your eyes. Um, we live in a world where you could just like search on the internet like Ayurvedic rose water, and a whole lot of options will probably show up. It's really beautiful, actually. Ayurveda is just becoming so much more and more popular, and a lot of these self-care practices too, a lot of different beauty companies, and a lot of really, even you might even have somebody local to you that's creating Ayurvedic products, and you might be able to get like a local rose water. But it's rose hydrosol, so you do want to make sure that it says rose hydrosol on it. Organic is best. If you know the person that's making it, you can ask them if it's safe to put in your eyes. And then also your best bet too is to even just do a search on the internet for like Ayurvedic rose water or rose water for eyes. And I talked about this already. Just when you're using the hydrosol, you just look up, spray some sprays into the eye, and then you repeat in the other eye. If you don't love it, if this is causing you to just, and this is all of these practices, if these practices are causing you to just like cringe and you hate doing them, don't do them. Just skip it. You can even just spray the rose water right onto your face too. You don't need to spray it into your eyes, but it is very helpful for the eyes. And then make sure you smile. Make sure that you're happy as you're doing these. Ghee. If you're not familiar with ghee, ghee is clarified butter. And when we talk about digestion and things like that too, and just Ayurveda in the kitchen, Ayurveda as like a form of like our own little home pharmacy. I'll talk about ghee a lot, but we're not going to get into that too much in this class. Ghee is, you can search for that as well if you're not too familiar with it, if you don't have a source for it. Find ghee that is produced in a kind way. Find ghee that is, organic, something that is actually good for you. And then this one is a little more interesting to do. You would want to do this like before bed, but you just put a little bit ghee on your lashes or like on the lower lid, blink your eyes, and then go to sleep. It's also a nice moisturizer for the skin under your eyes. So it's really nourishing. It's really, really, um, it's just really, really sweet to use. And then again, ethically sourced ghee, you take a small amount with a clean finger, look up and put it to your lower lash line. And then you could even put this under the eye area. And then again, close your eyes, inhale, exhale, and smile. And it's nice to do this before bed so you can keep your eyes closed and feel nourished as you sleep. Um, Another thing, I mean, what I even do with ghee sometimes, I'll cook with it. I cook with it pretty often. And I just will take the excess ghee off of the spoon and I just use that as like an under eye cream. I just take my finger and dab it underneath my eyes and I use it like as an actual product for under my eyes. So you can try that too. All right. Earth and nose care. The nose is affiliated with the earth element. So neti, using a neti pot. You can get a neti pot almost in most at most pharmacies now, at most just like drugstores will sell neti pots. I prefer to use a glass one, and I've broken a lot of glass ones too, but I prefer to use glass. But you will neti if you're feeling weighed down, if you have a headache, um, if you're feeling a little bit heavy. Neti is a great practice to take into your routine. Be mindful though that if you have dry sinuses, you probably won't want a neti because we're going to do this with salt. It's salt and water, and it might dry you out even more. I personally don't use a neti pot all year around, especially in the drier seasons. I don't like it. It just dries my sinuses out way too much. Ceramic pot. I'm suggesting use a ceramic pot. Fill it with warm water. So the water should be warm, not hot. And it should be the water that you would drink. So if you live somewhere where you do not drink your tap water, do not use your tap water. You can boil water and then let it cool a little bit until it's room temp. Use that. And then you're going to use salt that is, there's neti salts out there. You can just do a little search on the internet for like neti pot salt. Some neti pots actually come with salt as well. Mix it up, and then the neti pot goes into one nostril. You're going to tilt your head to the side and allow it to pour through the opposite. And then you repeat that on the other side. So nausea is another. This is actually one of my favorite practices. A lot of you may or may not have heard the story from me, but when I was in India like, years ago, one of my first experiences at an Ayurvedic center with an Ayurvedic doctor was with nausea. It's really this oiling of the nose. It's lubricating the nose and the nasal passages, and it was what was just transformational for me. It really that, and along with a lot of other things, it wasn't just one thing. But I'd gotten sinus infections all my life, and I have not had a sinus infection since I started uh, almost most of these practices. But the nausea practice was key. So you can do this on its own. If I am using a neti pot, I do like to practice nausea after it, just because I tend to get really dry in my sinuses. So you can use sesame oil for this too, and just get in touch with me as well if you need suggestions on what type of oil to use or where to get these products, where to get any of this stuff. I can send you a list of the ones that I suggest. But you'll put a little bit of the oil on your finger, rub it around your nostrils, inhale, boom, that's it. Nothing too crazy there, right? If you're used to like putting moisturizer on your face, on your body, This is something that probably doesn't sound too crazy. You just put it around your nostrils and inhale. A deeper practice, this is my favorite practice. You'll drop about 5 drops into each nostril, lie back for about a minute, and massage your sinuses. Um, it's just really nourishing, it's really lubricating. It's a really, really lovely practice to get into. And you can even, again, these Ayurvedic practices are just becoming so much more popular these days, which is amazing. You could do a search online for nausea oil, NASYA. It's just, I'll go back to the slide, nausea oil. And there's a lot of brands that have different kinds of nausea oil, different kinds of medicated oils. So you can actually, it's okay if the oil even drips down your throat in some cases. Um, it's really just very beneficial, really helpful. Hair and skin. So this is dry brushing. I brought up dry brushing before, where when we were talking about kapha dosha, dry brushing can be really balancing for kapha, or anytime that you might feel stuck or feel like you just can't get up. It moves lymph. It helps detox the lymphatic system. It'll energize your body and your mind. So with that said, if you feel like there's excess vata present, skip the dry brushing. You could skip it. It's just gonna make you a little bit more frenetic if you are already kind of like tuned up and really in this very like vata place. And especially if you're dry too, if you're already really, really dry, you'll wanna skip this. But basically, you take your dry skin brush, you'll make some circles on your palms, the soles of your feet, and then you're making long streaks up towards the heart. You might circle on the joints, or you can just keep doing those brushes towards the heart. So towards the heart means that, like, then when you get to your hands, you're brushing up towards the shoulders. If you're doing your neck, you're brushing down towards the heart. And remember to smile, breathe, and cultivate gratitude for your beautiful skin, your beautiful body. You can also, when it comes to this dry skin brushing, you can take certain essential oils too. And we'll have another class for you on essential oils, how to incorporate essential oils into these practices. But you could put a drop or two on the brush itself. So oil massage, abhyanga, is so nourishing for our skin, our joints, our mind. It's said that oil massage immediately takes us to a place of feeling loved and taken care of. In Sanskrit, the word for oil is one of the same words for love. So when we practice this oil massage, it's really, we're bringing in the feelings of love and being loved, and we're taking all of that in. The body, the senses, the nerves are going through the same experience that they would feel as if we were incredibly, incredibly loved. So it's a really beautiful practice. So for this, you'll warm up about half a cup of sesame oil. So you're gonna get oily here. This is like a deep practice. Put a towel down. You're going to take your clothes off, get your oil, warm it up. You could warm this up by just taking like a glass bottle and then putting it in a bowl of hot water, or any other way that you want to warm it up. If it's room temp, that's okay too. I used it at room temp and been totally fine. Start by massaging the feet and the hands. And this is generous. You're using a lot of oil here. If you need to feel energized, you're going to start with your legs and work up. If you're needing to feel grounded, you're going to start with your head and work down. And then you're doing long strokes and long bones, circular motions on your joints. Smile. And you're using that whole half a cup. So you will be totally like penetrated in oil. You're going to be covered in oil. Something to just note about this, you'll leave this on for about maybe 15 minutes if you can, and then you'll take a shower. So when you go to take a shower, if you did oil your hair, if you did your scalp and now your hair is oily, I like to actually, before I even turn the shower on, shampoo my hair first, because water and oil don't mix together. The shampoo, once you put that in your hair, will get the oil, will start to get the oil out. Then all you have to do is just let the water, when you turn your shower on, let the water run over you. Um, You won't need to use soap. Don't use soap if that's okay with you. Use soap on the parts of your body that have hair, though. So, of course, you're shampooing your scalp if you have hair there. If you have hair anywhere else in your body, you'll use soap there. And then you're just allowing that oil to the excess oil to wash off. You'll probably notice that when you turn the shower off, it'll feel like you still have a little bit of oil on you, or it'll feel like you've just put moisturizer on you. That's the point. It won't fully wash off. It's meant to be there. It's meant to still be in that penetrative place, and that's the beauty of it. And then pat yourself dry, get out of the shower, and then just note, please note, please remember that the shower is gonna be slippery. Clean the shower floor before you get back in it or before a loved one gets in there, especially if you have like a family or roommates or something. I don't know, you have people coming over that don't know you just did this like abhyanga or, Ayurvedic practice in your bathroom and everything's oily. Make sure you clean the shower. It gets slippery in there. It can be really dangerous. All right, water and mouth care. Tongue scraping. If you so the mouth is affiliated with the water element, and the tongue is one way to care for the mouth. It wakes up the organs, connected to different organs in the body, and it'll help you cleanse taste buds. You might even, when you wake up in the morning, so this is ideal to do right in the morning. You'll wake up, stick your tongue out, and then use that tongue scraper. I always say that, like, I actually don't think I've met a person. I mean, maybe like one person in like 50 of the people I've, I give tongue scrapers out a lot. Maybe one or two people were like, "Ugh, this is not for me. I don't love it." Everybody else, once they see that what's on their tongue and what they scrape off of their tongue in the morning, they're hooked. They use a tongue scraper every single day. So tongue scrapers look like this. So this picture right here, you'll see like there's a toothbrush and that like silver horseshoe looking thing. I like to use a copper or stainless steel one. Copper, I prefer the copper ones. You just begin towards the back of the tongue and gently pull down. Tap it out, rinse it out, and then repeat it till you feel like you remove the coating off your tongue. Avoid practicing this too hard because you could damage your taste buds when it's done too aggressively. This is also something you really don't want to like do. You just don't do it too hard. Don't get too nuts. Don't put the tongue scraper too far back down your throat either, too far back down the tongue, because it'll make you gag. And that's like the last thing you want to do in the morning. Be gentle with it, really gentle practice. Oil pulling is something that has gotten really popular over the last couple of years. I think it's a practice that's been around for like over like 5,000 years, but it just, I guess, got re popularized by just different studies that have come with it. But oil pulling, it'll increase your immune system, increase your oral health, and it also will whiten your teeth. You'll use either sesame oil or coconut oil, and take about a teaspoon or a tablespoon, swish it around your mouth 15-20 minutes. Ready to spit it out in the toilet or the garbage, and then switch some warm water in your mouth for a few moments. From there, you could brush and floss your teeth and make sure you smile. When I wake up in the morning, I'll usually I walk through the kitchen, I'll put on some water to boil for either for whatever oil I might need to warm up for like my tea in the morning. And then I'll go right into the bathroom. I like to use my tongue scraper first. I'll scrape my tongue and then oil pull. For this 15-20 minutes, if I'm practicing Abhyanga, the oil massage in the morning, I'll start to do that while I'm oil pulling. And then I'm just doing all this oily stuff for like 15 minutes. I've got the oil on my skin, I'm swishing the oil around, and boom, I'm doing that for that goes really quick. This sounds like 15 to 20 minutes is a long time, but if you're just doing your whole like morning routine, like you're making the bed, you're prepping for the day, it goes quite quick. Hey, ether and ear care. So ear oiling is something that sounds a little crazy, right? We're using oil a lot for everything, but when vata is high, um, We may have like a stiff jaw or stiff neck. That usually means that vata is like stuck and it's built up in our ears. And now maybe we have ringing in the ear. Maybe we're just like feeling this again in like our jaw, our mouth, our neck, something like that. So, ear oiling is so helpful for this. For a very deep, deep practice, I personally do this once every week or every 2 weeks. I'll warm sesame oil. And by that, I mean I'll pour some hot water into like a glass cup. And then I have got a dropper with the oil in it, like a bottle with a dropper. I'll put that in the hot water to warm it up. And or I'll also sometimes just like run the bottle of oil under hot water for a little bit until it gets warm. Tilt my head to one side, drop about 5 drops into one ear, and then wait a few moments, maybe a few minutes, lift up, and then repeat it on the other side. For daily practice, you could actually just rub the oil onto your fingertips and apply the oils to your ears with your fingers. So that's a little more accessible for some people. And then massage all parts of the ears. And remember to smile. Smiling is key in all of these practices. If you're doing something and you hate it, don't do it. Just skip it. And all these self-care practices too, these are things that you might choose one, you might try to practice all of them, but they're super duper helpful even if you are just practicing one. You don't have to do a whole like 2 hour morning of all of these things if you don't want to. So that'll lead us into our dinacharya, which is your daily rhythm. Daily rhythm is what you do every day. Um, Hopefully, we talk a lot in Ayurveda about having a morning routine and an evening routine. Um, if you can have one solid thing that you do in the morning, that's perfect. Maybe you only have time for one solid thing in the evening, and that's perfect too. Just a little example of morning self care routine is wake up around sunrise, use the bathroom, oil pull, tongue scrape, and brush teeth. You can use rose water for the eyes. Maybe you neti or nausea. Maybe you do some abhyanga, that oil massage. And then drink some warm water with lemon or lime. That'll help just move anything through the digestive tract that needs to move out. I'm saying lemon or lime because lemon water is a pretty popular thing, right? A lot of people are on the lemon water kick. Warm water with lemon is sometimes too acidic for some people. You can use lime instead. Move, meditate, pray, shower, and then have some breakfast. For this whole self care routine in the morning, you might just, out of the self care practices that we just went through, maybe pick one. You might pick one and stick with that. Don't have to do all of these. Midday self care. So, ideally, you've got lunch being your biggest meal. Pray or have gratitude for your meal. Make sure that as you're eating the meal, before you eat the meal, that you're just grateful for how it's arrived there, for your ability to digest. It's really transformational when you can just cultivate that before you eat something. Eat quietly and in a peaceful environment, or eat alone with the people that you love. So you don't want to be somewhere that's overstimulating. If you're fighting with somebody or if you're in a difficult scenario, get up and eat somewhere else. Just eat in a place where you can be at peace. Avoid eating around distractions, and then take a walk after you eat lunch. So if lunch is your biggest meal of the day, traditionally like 100 steps. 100 steps is not a lot, but go for a walk. I personally like to go for like a 15-20 minute walk if I can. Spend time in nature or bring nature to you. If you're in like an indoor environment for a lot of the day and you can't get outside, get a plant. Have a plant, eat around nature in some way. And then cultivate a gratitude practice, being grateful for everything that's going on. Evening. So by the time the evening rolls around, have a late dinner if you can. So ideally, again, our lunch was the biggest meal of the day. If you can have a late dinner, have a late dinner. Let's return to that gratitude practice. If you live with someone you love or can call or text the person you love, you'll want to do that just to, connect with them and spend time with them. It's a good time to actually calm down a little bit, unwind from the day, shut down electronics. at least 1 hour before bed. So that includes television. If you like to fall asleep with the television on, try to get in that practice of just shutting it off. Shut it off before you go to bed. Meditate, practice pranayama. Maybe you read. Reading's a really good practice as well. Foot massage with oil. So the same oil massage practice that you maybe did in the morning, or maybe you didn't. Maybe you don't do it every morning. You could do it at night. You could practice massage your feet at night. Make sure you clean your face, brush your teeth, and try to be in bed 2 hours after sunset. That can get rough, right? If you live in a place when it starts to get dark at like 4 or 5. Um, you don't have to be in bed at like at 6 or something like that, but you don't want to be in bed at like 2 a.m., especially when days do get a little bit shorter. So just something to be mindful of. So just starting to sync up with that circadian rhythm again, syncing up with that rising with the sunrise and tuning down, winding down as the sun starts to set. And you might choose some of these practices, 1 to 3, see how it goes. You don't have to do all of the practices that I've just outlined, but they're there if you want them. They're there if you choose to try these out. And then also, I do have in my on-demand platform, there's a mini course on self-care through the elements. There's actually I put made videos of myself doing all of these practices. So if you need a visual, if you'd like a visual of something, just get in touch with me and check that out. Or that's up on my website too. You can check that out too. But it's the self-care through the elements series. If you are a part of this and you're in the space to be, or if you are already a member of the wellness portal, um, you have access to the self-care through the elements series. If you're watching this from just anything that I've done, if you're taking this class, it's just like a one-off. Get in touch with me if you can't find the self-care through the elements series, and I'll definitely give you some information on that. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining me in this intro to Ayurveda and this self-care through the lens of Ayurveda class. And I hope that all of these, or some of these, or something from this has served you well. And definitely listen to it a few times if you need to. And please reach out if you have any questions at all, or if you want me to explain anything even further. It's what I'm here for. Thank you again, and I'll see you again soon.